Good morning. I want to share something personal this morning with you that does go along with a verse that I felt I wanted to share as well. I wasn't planning on sharing this, but God just brought it to my mind, and that usually means I want you to talk about this. So here it goes. First, I want to read the verse for today. It's found in James 1:3, and it says, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. Now, as a runner, I know that endurance is being able to withstand hardship, stress, persevering through a long run. But the same is true in life. We have trials we go through. We have difficult times, death of a loved one, sicknesses, losing a job. And trials can either make you or break you. Some people will kind of give up on life when they are being tested for a long period of time. And some people will struggle, but they keep going. And other people just seem like they sail right through things. And I have been through things in my life that have definitely tested me. And because I have faith in God, I've been able to get through those things. I think probably the first biggest test I really had to face was 28 years ago, yesterday. My older sister, Wendy, passed away very unexpectedly. And I can remember that day very clearly. And I remembered even, in that morning going to church and going up and praying for her, because she had been in the hospital after having triplets, and they were born prematurely, and two of them were not doing well. And I had gone up to pray, and I called to speak to her and tell her, that I had prayed for her and the babies, and to encourage her. And her husband said that she was sleeping and she'd call me back later. And so I went to my parents, because I was living with my grandmother at the time. I went up to my parents for Sunday afternoon dinner, lunch. And so when the phone rang, I said, "Oh, that's Wendy calling me back." And it wasn't. It was her husband calling to let us know that Wendy had just died. I remember hearing my mom screaming and knowing, because I was not on the phone, I just heard that scream and heard her saying, "Is she okay?" And I fell to the floor, because I knew what had just happened. I knew it was not one of the babies. I knew it was my sister that they were talking about. And as I cried, I suddenly stopped and I said, "God, I don't understand, but I trust you." And I got up and I did what I needed to do to help my parents and made some phone calls. And I know God gave me the strength to do all that. And I guess I needed to share that, because yesterday being 28 years, and she was 28 when she passed, this morning I just was thinking, I've lived, or today is more years that she's been gone than what she lived. I remember when I turned 29, because I was 25 when she passed. When I turned 29, I thought I just hit an age that my big sister never did, and that didn't seem fair. So just thinking of the fact that I've gone longer than she lived, it's hard. And at the same time, I know I have that faith that I will see her again one day. And you just have to have that kind of faith to know that God is faithful. He is always going to be there for you. And so when the hard times come, you persevere, you trust him. You say, okay, God, I don't understand, but I trust you, and your faith will grow. And as difficulties come again, it becomes easier to persevere and push through, because you know, hey, I've been through things, and God has always been faithful to help me and be there for me. We lost my both my father-in-law and mother-in-law. They died 7 weeks apart in 21, and that was an extremely difficult time. I mean, we knew my father-in-law had a weak heart and had been ill, so his passing wasn't as difficult. It was almost a blessing that he was no longer in pain. We knew he was in heaven, but we were not expecting 7 weeks later to lose her as well. And yet I couldn't help but say she is with her Savior, and she is with the man she loved, and they're together again. And we couldn't be sad for long, because they were together, and they were happy, and they weren't in any more pain. And so I don't know if you're going through the death of a loved one. I don't know if you've been dealing with sickness yourself, or what you're going through, but I just really felt like God wanted me to say, persevere. Go to God, trust him, put your faith in him, and say, I know you are going to see me through this, and I can get through each and every day, every second with you, because he'll just be right beside you and give you the strength you need to get through it. I'm not saying it's not going to hurt or that you're not going to cry. We're human, and that's part of being human. But trust and have faith that things will get better, and God will use even those horrible situations for his good. 28 years later, longer than my sister was on this earth, she is still having an impact on people. Just a few years ago, I reconnected with her best friend, and she said, I still think of Wendy and what she would have said, and things that she would do. She would think of, what would Wendy have done, or say, I would have made Wendy proud. And I thought, her death was not in vain. People still remember her. So many years later, she's still having an impact. And so I know it can be hard at the time to think that any good could come out of that, but I'm here to say I can see the goodness of God and his faithfulness when I look back on that situation, and know that he has really worked, even if it's just in my life, because of things that my sister said and did. I've dedicated runs that I've done to her, and just remembered all the positive things of how much she loved children, and how she loved the Lord, and how she just really had a heart for people. She always knew she was going to be a pastor's wife, and she did marry a pastor, and she was a wonderful, wonderful person, and I can't wait to see her again one day. So today, no matter what you're going through, trust that God is going to see you through, and persevere, and watch your faith increase. Have a great day.